At this moment in time, not only has Loki Season 2 commenced, but the Loki series as a franchise has as well. Writer Eric Martin says the approach was always meant to have this story be in 2 parts. Now, I think it's likely we will see Loki in some capacity in either Thor 5, if they hire a real one, Kang Dynasty, or Secret Wars. At this point, no character coming back would ever surprise me. I think they really want to pay off the whole "the sun will shine on us again, brother" line from Infinity War, and it could be a good and true send-off for both of these characters and their respective actors before the eventual reset of the MCU with Secret Wars. Now, do I want this? Sure, I'd be down to see a great moment for the brothers. Do I need this after that finale? Fuck no. The finale was spectacular. If that was the last time I ever see Tom Hiddleston as Loki, I would be completely satisfied. This is my favorite show of the year so far. Invincible just came through, so that might change things, even though they're on some bullshit with this whole split season. It's alright, I've been practicing my edgings, but basically we will be getting into the last 2 episodes of the season, the story, the plot, the good, the bad, and the things I picked up on, as well as my rating for the season. But before we do, I'd like to just give a huge shout out to Tex. If y'all know me, you probably already know Tex, another comic book creator on here, way bigger than myself. I believe we first interacted about a year ago, and he's always been a cool dude in the few times we have interacted. This past Thursday night, your boy was about to knock out. I had taken my magnesium already, I had True Detective playing, I was ready to catch whatever amount of sleep I could as I attempted to ignore the voices one more time, but then I get a notification that I was mentioned on one of his posts, letting his subscribers know, he won't be posting as much anymore, and he recommended my channel, which I just wanted to express again how much I appreciate that. Tex could have just let his community know what was up with him and not shouted me out, or he could have shouted out anyone else, but he chose me. As a smaller creator, that means a lot, just to have somebody with a larger platform recommend your channel to that big audience. But also, like, I actually really fuck with his videos as well, so to know he does the same is also just super dope. So anyone that has come to this channel because of Tex, I just want to say I'm glad to have you here, and I hope you enjoy what you see. And Tex, if you're watching, whenever you come back, please give us a Berserk review, player. But let's get back to Loki. God, everything reminds me of her. So episode 5, or science fiction, we find out what comes after the blast, and it seems that the TVA has been evacuated. There's some type of failsafe enacted, and everyone is back on their timelines. We find out that Casey was some type of criminal, B-15 was a doctor, Obi is a physicist who is only doing that to support his passion of writing. What an absolute G. And Mobius works at a power sports store, hence the jet ski fascination, and is the single father of 2 boys. He had a pretty whole life, and nobody remembers the TVA or Loki except Sylvie, and they have a little discussion. That is where Loki gets pretty vulnerable and explains why he even wants to try getting everyone back together to rebuild the TVA, but it's so he's not alone. Something I think a lot of people can resonate with, especially if you're not too fond of yourself. This can be horrifying. Previously, the plan was to gather everyone besides Timely from the TVA at the point in the last episode together, so they would have the same temporal aura that would match enough so that Loki could time slip back to that point. But after this talk, Loki basically gives up. That is until Sylvie comes back through, because her timeline was dying. So they actually have to do something about it now, and after watching all of his friends get ribboned, Loki does what any real Sigma who's been following the ancient traditions of November can/has done. Trust me, I did it in high school. Gains control of his time-slipping abilities, restores his homies, and slips back to before the loom explodes. And the new episode is on some Flash/Groundhog Day type shit, with Loki replaying Timely, trying to set the throughput multiplier to increase the rings over and over and over again. Loki even does what realistically all speedsters should do, and he takes a century to learn just about everything that he can, to catch up with Obi about physics, to save time to refit the throughput multiplier and send Timely out with less radiation so he doesn't get spaghettied. I personally would have went back and invested in real estate in 2008 when I was 10, so I wouldn't be a brokey like I am now. I only have myself to blame. But Timely finally manages to make the run successfully, but to no avail. The loom still starts to explode, and so Loki goes back to the start of the problems, and that is when Sylvie kills He Who Remains. And of course, after running the scenario countless times, Sylvie doesn't stop. This can only mean one thing, players. Yes, Latina mode was in fact still turned on. Right now, luckily, my boy He Who Remains once again is able to turn that shit off again. And hey, that's my favorite mode. That's the only mode that I know, but I also don't want to die sometimes, so sometimes it has to be off. off, and he reveals he knows about the time slipping and all that has been happening with Loki, and that he had a plan because he wasn't just gonna let Sylvie kill him. And I just thought this brought a whole new level of menace to the character. Like, this mofo is even more calculating than we had initially thought, and they go tit for tat with their time powers, and He Who Remains tells him he's got to either kill her and protect the timeline or have the multiversal war by breaking the loom. So he slips back to the first interrogation with Mobius for some wisdom on how to handle his purpose and to live with the burden that comes with it, which I really love. Like, shit is not ever going to get comfortable, guys. So realistically, you have to learn how to be comfortable in pain and hurt to be productive in that, and that's when you thrive, players. This show is just so full circle. It's great, and we see Mobius and the whole crew spaghetti before Loki has one last chat with Sylvie, and after that Loki knows what to do. This has to be one of the top 10 moments in the whole MCU. Loki goes back to the loom and says, fuck it, I'll do it myself, and we just get the sickest superhero costume transition. I need a better look at this suit, but I love the black and gold crown, the green like robes. That whole black and gold aesthetic that is being paired with, you know, time in the series is amazing. The turbulence as he marches forward was just epic, and then he gets his classical Loki moment and breaks the loom. That's been something I just needed to see for a minute. Is Loki actually using his magic and being a fucking god? Like, fuck all this nerfing shit, you know? Like, in episode 3 of the first season, he levitated a building and pushed it back, and I was like, yo, I've never seen Loki display this powerful telekinesis like ever, and so I really like to see that. I fuck with that so much, and other than just being badass or epic, it was just beautiful. Like, the green and the black was ethereal. I feel like that was the writer saying, we have a god here, let's send him out like a god. And he grabs the strands of time, opens a tear in space to the Rock of Eternity, which looks like even before Kang had got there, and he plants himself as the one who will hold on to the different strands of time in the form of Yggdrasil, no less, which is a really nice touch. After this, we see the TVA back in action, restoring Miss Minutes, putting out a new TVA guidebook. They even mention Quantumanium Kang, and we see Mobius head back to the timeline to watch his life and let time pass. You make a grown man cry type shit, okay? But the series ends with Loki on that throne, and it's so beautiful and satisfying. It's not perfect, of course. I think some of the issues lie in the ambiguity. I feel like there was a lot they could have done a better job of explaining, like, why was Loki time slipping in the first place? How does that happen? What does it mean? If they mentioned that already, please let me know. I know the TVA will be in Deadpool 3, but I mean, if this is the last time we see them really get like a focus, like, I feel like there was so much more to explore. Like, that whole backdrop I just want to dive into, especially how it would have worked to dampen a god's powers. I know that's more on the fiction side of things, but that would have been nice to see how they even begin to do that. I would have appreciated that. On the other hand, I do appreciate ambiguity in a sense. I think it works really well from my experience with like From Software, like Dark Souls games, Elden Ring and shit. I think ambiguity can be powerful if they do seed the answers within the project. So maybe I'll have to take a couple looks back. I think Renslayer also, and some of the characters could have used a little bit more to them. Like, it was sad and I felt emotional seeing where they were at, where they've been, and who they truly were. But I don't know, I feel like they could have done a little bit more with each of them. But as far as that goes, I really enjoyed this season. Do I think it's better than season 1? I might say no. I'm very satisfied with this season. I think it was solid, but I think the first season had, each character had more to do, but otherwise I'm like extremely satisfied. So that is why I'm going to be giving Loki season 2 a fluctuating 8 to 9 out of 10. I think this show is just the most solid thing that the MCU has put out, besides Guardians or like any of the special presentations, in a very long time. I think you have a pairing of Tom Hiddleston just being an amazing actor, being a fan favorite with this character, being somebody that actually likes playing this character, and then having amazing writers like Eric Martin. So there's just such a perfect storm here that I think we were bound to get something of this quality. So I'm really excited, and I think the MCU can learn from this show in all regards. Is like, you know, let gods be God, let these characters be the most that they can be, let them sacrifice. It doesn't always have to be a happy ending, but as long as there's meaning behind it, people will feel good, they'll feel full. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys thought of season 2, what you thought about that finale, any predictions, if you think any of the people in the TVA or even Loki are gonna pop up in future movies, or do you think it's just the end? Very, very curious what you guys have to say. That's it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I will see you in the next one.